What is up? What is going on, man? We are back, black in the building. Shout out to everybody out there at the Court Plantation. Shout out to everybody, all my siblings, everybody out there in Vegas. Shout out to my brother Dave from No Compromise. Joe's in the building. Shout out to my brother James Youngblood. Texas is definitely in the building. Shout out to the homegirl Erica. Florida's in the building. Shout out to the homegirl Shawnee. Philly is definitely in the building. And again, shout out to all my siblings in Vegas, Cali, all over. Man, this is gonna be a quick one, but I'm making them quick because I just want people to think. Taking the blame. Let's get it. Yo, it's a lot of stuff going on today. I seen Trump and them deport somebody, and I guess he wasn't supposed to get deported. And Trump was like, oh well, looks like I'm gonna stay over there now. I'm just loving the fact that they, for once, foundational Black Americans are not the focal point of all this shenanigans and BS that's going on. So I'm pretty stunned by what's going on with that. But that's a whole nother ball game. Right now, we're gonna talk about. There was an interview on the Breakfast Club, man, with the great Carrie Hilson, which I have been a very big fan of because I think she has a very angelic voice. I think she writes very good music. And I always wondered what really happened and who she was protecting. I always wondered that. I just, because let's just keep it a buck in industry. If you're an attractive woman in the industry, people will bend over backwards for you and do a lot of things for you, depending on if you're willing to compromise your integrity. My bad, y'all. I'm sipping this soursop tea. But anyway, so I figured it eventually would come out because I remember she was on the Breakfast Club. They was asking her questions because she's got a new album coming out, and I just remember there was a "You're Turning Me On" remix, and I was like, damn, like. I kind of knew who she was going at or who wrote it and who was going at it, and I kind of knew it, but I didn't know it to the degree of what it was. But I knew it wasn't good because I remember that was around the time when social media was really starting to take off. So I knew it wasn't good. You know what I mean? And we're not going to go into detail about it. My bad, y'all. I apologize. Got to have my soursop tea, but I just knew, like, this is what I was thinking, y'all. This is what I was thinking. Way before the "You Turning Me On," I had seen Carrie Hilson on the Hey Now with Exhibit. He had a single that came out in like 2004, and she was on that single. You had seen, this is when you buy CDs and you read the credits. So I had seen her on a lot of credits, and I just was like, oh, damn, she's dope. Whoever Carrie Hilson is dope. I when she first came out, I didn't even put two and two together. I just knew, damn, whoever Carrie Hilson is, she write her ass off, but I didn't think nothing of it. Then when you start seeing her face, you like, damn, who is this? Who is this girl? Damn, she look good to the mother. Who is this? But you're not thinking nothing because normally you'll hear something about people, but you never really heard anything bad. And then the "You're Turning Me On" remix came, and I don't know. I just was like, this is what I was thinking, y'all. Y'all tell me, leave y'all comments. I was like, yeah, she kind of too pretty to be doing that. Why is she doing that? Because that just doesn't make sense. Because she's a naturally attractive, beautiful sister. So I was like, oh, well, then your mind starts playing tricks. Well, maybe she thinks her career should be better than what it is, and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. But, you just be like, and then when she came out with her album, it was jamming. I just was like, oh, man, this is dope. Why would she do that? This is what I kept thinking the whole time. And I never really talked to a lot of people about it. I just was always thinking, she didn't need to do that because she can sing and she can write. So I'm like, why would she do that? Maybe she did it for clout. Maybe she felt like it wasn't going to the record wasn't gonna sell. Cause I remember I'm a connoisseur of music. You know what I mean? So I just was like, I knew she was with Tim because I saw her with in a lot of Timbaland videos, and she was on a lot of Timbaland songs. So I knew she had some type of deal with Timbaland, but I was like, I don't think Timbaland damn, did he make her do that? No, because he do shit with Beyonce and Jay-Z and all them. So nah, he had been doing music with them. So nah, I didn't think nothing of it. I just kind of kept it like, why would that sister do that? Then I started thinking like, I wonder who the fuck is behind it. But they would never say, and she would never say it. She took a lot of heat. And I think she took a lot of heat because she probably felt like she shouldn't have done it in the first place. This is what I'm talking about Neely Fuller Jr. and the four-wall effect. It's non-constructive behavior. And you like, why, Warren? This is what I mean by non-constructive behavior. I don't care if it's Timbaland. I don't care if it's Dre. I don't care if it's Polo the Don. I don't care who are these major producers. If they're trying to get you to go at someone that's already established and already damn near on their way to being an icon, that's not a good look. And that's an insecurity issue there. Whoever was like, yeah, you should do it. Well, she said it on the Breakfast Club today. It was Polo the Don. And the writer was Esther Dean. And I seen Esther Dean on the Breakfast Club years ago. She was very, very arrogant. Humble. It was that passive aggressive arrogance. And I was like, I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't think I would have never tied her to two. But now that you tied her to two, oh, that's an ugly bitch. I'm just going to keep it a buck, y'all. This is what happens. Why? So after the Carrie Hilson interview, people already was putting two and two together. You know, the social media is undefeated. So they had kind of figured it out, which I would have never figured it out. I thought the majority of it was on Polo the Don. I don't know why they would do that and hype her up to do that. And she shouldn't have done it. But I'm going to give y'all a different perspective. When you were at your job and somebody tells you to go at somebody and they tell you if you don't do this, you most likely might not even have your job. What you gonna do? Some people will walk away from the job. Some people are very integrous people. Some people have a lot of intrinsic value and maybe they've been socialized a certain way and maybe they like, you know what, I just don't need this job. But let me tell you something. Nobody's perfect, including Warren. And what has been socialized to a lot of us, especially FBAs, is better you than me. We don't know how to work as a team. So I will hold Carrie Hilson accountable for being like, doing it and then being like, I don't want to, I would have just been like, all right, well then I just won't do this deal. You know what I mean? But I get it. You want to do music so bad, but I still would have been like, nah. And the reason why you say nah is because it's like, nah, I'm not doing that. And then, so I'm going to hold her accountable for that because you're too beautiful. You're too talented to do that. That first album she came out with, I was like, this album is tight. She did her thing. The second album was dope, but you could tell the first and second album, they just kind of threw them shits out there. You can tell Carrie Hilson was not liked. I just couldn't figure out why. I mean, my family, siblings, everybody's like, man, her album is dope. Why didn't know? And I'm like, they must don't like her. Because the only thing I could think of, maybe because maybe she thinks she all that. Because then they'll have you thinking that about your own people. Like, but then I just kept saying, but why would she do that? Why would she jump out the building? So they basically held her career hostage and was like, if you don't do this record, then your career is not going to go anywhere. Which Polo the Don and Timbaland, if y'all had anything to do with that, y'all was doing sucker shit like that, y'all niggas are very insecure. And you shouldn't do that shit. You just shouldn't, because the people, the dominant society, they laughing at that shit. They think it's funny that we will all gut each other like a fish just to get to where we need to get to. They like that. There's no honor in stuff like that. So as she gets to talking, and then the interview, goes up, and then Esther Dean posts, because somebody was like, oh, it was Esther Dean. Somebody knew. So then she posts a picture of her and Polo the Don. Yep, I wrote the song. Yep, it made me such and such. And then when she figured out, oh, I think I fucked up, I shouldn't have done that. Then she wanted to say, oh, then she wanted to say that it was her and Carrie Hilson that wrote the song. Well, on the Breakfast Club, Carrie Hilson is like, those were not my words and I didn't write it. Because that song was also going at Ciara too, which I got love for Ciara, but Ciara, you can dance, but you are a non-singing motherfucker. But you can dance though, but you can't sing. But anyway, and then the girl Esther Dean says, oh, well, me and Carrie Hilson co-wrote the song. Oh, so now you co-wrote it. So now it's your word against hers. Now, what I will give Carrie Hilson is this. As a person that stood on her business, you know what? I take accountability. I should have never done that. I should have never compromised who I was just for a career. I should have never let people tell me what is good for me, you know, and I was very young. And she, you know, because about 17 years ago. So I'm glad that she took accountability. Esther Dean, no. And I mean what I say. See, you're an ugly motherfucker on the inside. See, I would like to call Esther Dean the Boyce Watkins effect. I got love for Boyce Watkins, but Boyce Watkins went from talking about Dr. Claude Anderson and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and all that stuff to gossiping. And I remember Erica had put me onto that. Cause I was still kind of listening. Erica was like, I don't be on that channel like that. He be gossiping and shit. And then when I went on there, I was like, he do be doing that. You just got to the point where he not even talking about stocks and bonds and shit no more. He talking about gossiping. That's what happens when you run out of information and run out of stuff because you're not really supposed to be there anyway. People will be like, oh, why are you saying that about Boyce Watkins? The only reason why I'm saying that about Boyce Watkins because it seems like every female that get up under him, they always end up getting into it with him. And I feel like, this is just my personal opinion, I feel like this, not just Boyce Watkins, I feel like there's a reason why a lot of people don't need to be successful in the public eye because they can't handle the fame. It's not the money they can't handle, it's the fame. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people can't handle that. So what they do is they hide behind others, you know, and then after they hide behind others, you realize, oh, you ain't really got no talking points. Straight up. It's the truth. And the reason why I say that is because it's like taking a nerd that has no popularity and no fame, and you give him fame, not money, but fame. Some nerds is going to be like, no, I don't want to be bothered with this shit. And I don't give a fuck what y'all talking about. Some is going to be like, nah, I kind of want the money. I don't really want the fame. And some are going to be like, hell yeah, I want the fame. And then they're going to not abuse the fame, but you're going to realize, oh, they ain't really got shit to say. And I believe Esther Dean was very hungry to do something like that because it wasn't her that was going to get ridiculed and be held accountable. That's very cowardly, and you're ugly on the inside. You're ugly, bitch. And that's nasty. That's nasty and nice at the same time because you didn't even want to come out and hold yourself accountable. No. You came out and stood on it, and then you went back and wrote this long-ass letter talking about, oh, me and Carrie Hilson both wrote it. No, and now you are nobody in this industry anymore. Nobody is looking for you or checking for you. I remember who Esther Dean is. She done wrote a lot of songs, so I know who she is. But some people don't want to be songwriters. They want to be famous. And that's what I mean about the four-wall effect. It's like being in the studio. It's the four-wall effect. You get in the studio, and guess what happens? Non-constructive behavior. That's what happens. This is why, to me, this is why we gotta understand what's at stake. You cannot be competing with other people. Yeah, there's some people that don't like Beyonce. Okay, fine, they don't like Beyonce. But at the end of the day, you ain't in competition with Beyonce. Beyonce been in the industry well over 25 years. She only worth like 400 million. You're like, oh, that's light. Beyonce should be worth billions. It's Beyonce. They act like they royalty. But royalty, you'd be worth about $4 or $5 billion. So it's like, and why does Beyonce, in my personal opinion, she's such a upper echelon performer, singer, dancer. She commands the stage, and I get it. But when I see her in these Levi commercials, I just be like, they better be paying her a whole lot of money because to me, that is diminishing who Beyonce is. Because when you see the white people like Charlize Theron, what is she modeling? Dolce & Gabbana. That's what she's modeling. Not no damn Levi's. That's how they treat our people. That's why I'm like, you don't got time to be in no competition with nobody. And shame on you, Esther Dean, for not taking accountability. Shame on you for that. You could have damn near ruined this girl's career, even though she had part in doing it too, because she wanted her career to advance. But as she's gotten older, she realized, like, no, that's not what I do. Shout out to Carrie Hilson for taking accountability, because most people going to go in there and make it everybody else's fault. She took accountability. It's on me. That's what I get. I should have never done that. And most people don't do that. So I give Carrie Hilson a lot of props. I'm not being impartial. I've always liked her music and her writing. I think she writes great songs. I just feel like as black folk, don't sit up there and let somebody take accountability and then you don't. I take accountability. I told David and James Youngblood this. I told my family, man, I've done a lot of sucker shit at the Court Plantation. When you don't know and you like, oh, well, I gotta, then you get emotional. I mean, I did some sucker shit too. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what a motherfucker think. And this was before I really started like reading. I remember a motherfucker did some sucker shit, was telling on us. This is a long time ago at this Court Plantation. So when I had some information, I threw that nigga under the bus. Did I feel good about it in the moment? Yeah, because I felt like he was trying to jeopardize me and one of the homies. I don't even want to mention his name, but he was trying to jeopardize me and one of my homies, one of my big brothers. And he wasn't even a big bro, but he would call me big bro. But, you know, I used to have to calm him down and get him off this motherfucker's ass, because he's going to beat the shit out this motherfucker. So I threw his ass under the bus. Not my homeboy, but the dude that was causing the problems. But when I look back at it, I should have just ignored that motherfucker and just silenced myself. That was some whole shit that I did. But I was emotional about it because I was irritated. Like, damn, nigga, you gonna really try to knock some food off my plate? We all go through it. And this is before, this is before I read Neely Fuller Jr.'s The United Independent Compensatory Counter-Racist Code of Ethics. This is before I read that book. Yep. And then once I read that book, I felt embarrassed. I was very embarrassed because he's right. That's non-constructive behavior. If you're ever in a situation where you become that emotional towards your own people, and because they throwing you under the bus, you doing it, and it's very hard to not want to throw them under the bus because y'all jockeying for a job, and all human resources does is come in and fire both niggas. They don't come in and settle it and do that because they don't give a fuck about no niggas arguing. And I learned a lot from that. And I was like, you know what? That's why now I don't put myself in positions like that. After I read that book, I was very, very introverted after that because I was like, you know what? I'm not making that mistake again. So we all done made. I felt like it was a mistake. I felt like I shouldn't have done that. I was like, damn, I probably shouldn't have threw that nigga under the bus and did that. That was some hoe shit. But hey, it was a lesson well learned. And then after that, when people was throwing me under the bus, I just kept it moving. If it was my people and they was throwing me under the bus, I just kept it moving. I didn't even entertain it. And the reason why I didn't entertain it, because once you, to me, are vibrating at a higher vibration and you already know this is the Court Plantation and it's there, you're a victim of the system of racism, white supremacy, you're not going to be arguing with people like that. You just got to tell you, dog, me and this person are both victims. Let them do what they do. Long as it ain't jeopardizing who you are on your job, you good. Don't get involved if it ain't jeopardizing your job, because a lot of times we will take on more accountability than we should. Like Carrie Hilson, she took on a lot of shit. They was going at her for years. The Beehive, other people, oh, you wrote that diss song. Oh, man, I remember that shit. And the whole time, Esther Dean ugly ass in the back laughing and giggling, because that's how haters are. People that are ugly on the inside, they do exactly that. So I want y'all to go check that out. Go check out that interview with Carrie Hilson. Check out all the other stuff that, you know, Trump got going on. You know, the Democrats, they run out of options. They got Jasmine Crockett with the, you know, with the crooked wig and shit. We need the immigrants. I'd be laughing like, we already know where she going with that. But anyway, man, hey, guilty nigga. Go check it out. I'm out. Peace.